We're live. Welcome to Shed the Music Spotlight Podcast. My name is Bob Habersat, and I'm a high school music teacher and co-founder of ShedTheMusic.com. Today's guest spends most of her time in the classroom at a public high school outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She's an active songwriter and musician, performing original music with her band New Enemies and composing and writing for film and musical theater. She is the co-founder and CEO of the music education publishing company F Flat Books and is on a mission to empower music educators to create and collaborate to involve all learners in a quality music education. Please welcome Sarah Gulish.
Yay, thank you for that introduction.
No problem. All right, so first question, really, really important question. I need a number from 1 to 3,000.
Ooh, 11. I'm going low.
11. Okay, we're going 11. So I have my 3,000 questions about you.
This is amazing.
We're going to number 11. Ha!
I'm so nervous.
This okay. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Number 11. Let's see if we can focus here. Number 11. What is the quality you most like in a woman?
Oh my gosh, this is a good question. Well, maybe this is a newer thing. I'm actually reading a book right now called How Women Rise. Shout out to my mentor who gave it to me. And I like a woman who will lift up other women because we don't always see that happening in business and education. So I love equality in a woman if she can champion other women.
Yeah. Yeah.
And curly hair. I like curly hair too in a woman.
Oh, even more important question. What kind of tea do you have going on right now?
Oh, okay. Yes, because you were on our podcast and we're also drinking tea. This is digestive relief wellness tea. I did not realize that, but that's what's happening.
I'm rocking out some coconut water. I wanted to make tea. I just didn't have time. We were talking before this before the stream started. I had to run from a music booster thing, and I wanted to make the tea, but I got the coconut water. So here we go, and a banana. These are my go-to gig foods. So this is my gig tonight.
Ooh, I like that.
Speaking of gigs, speaking about music, what are you digging? What are you listening to currently?
Oh man, that's such a good question. And I feel like one that I should be prepared for. This is sort of random, but I'm really into Willow Smith, Will Smith's daughter. Have you heard any of her recent stuff that she's put out?
I had someone suggest to me to listen to something from Willow like 3 days ago.
Okay.
So it's on my faved Spotify, but I haven't taken the plunge.
See, I have to look things up, so I'm saying the right thing. So being a high school teacher, you can relate to this. A lot of the music that we get is kind of through our students, right? And she put out like a pop punk song, which just felt very high school to me. Like it was nostalgic in the way that I listened to music in high school. But then, she has R&B stuff. She has this cool collaboration that she did that I've been listening to. So yeah, I've been diving into that. And then also, do you know the band Dr. Dog?
I do not know Dr. Dog.
Okay, so they are a Philly-based band. They have their farewell tour right now. I'm seeing them in Austin this weekend because we couldn't get tickets in Philly, which is ridiculous. So I've been just like listening to them nonstop.
I need to add that to my list. So Dr. Dog. Yeah.
Dr. Dog, Willow.
Visit my Willows. Yeah. So you're still going. You're still like traveling to see music that you like.
This weekend I am. I mean, during the pandemic, that didn't happen at all. For me, something I should mention is that you talked about me playing music for years, and then I actually married my drummer. We were in a band together, and so much of our relationship was based on playing live music together and seeing live music together. So we've really missed it during the pandemic, and we're just now starting to get back to shows, but we're usually not like flying across the country to see a show. This is kind of a unique thing.
That's still really cool. Because you are an active, and did you just win an award for like teaching from your district or something?
No.
Oh, okay.
am in the running for the Music Educator Grammy.
That's what it was. I saw something and I was like, oh man, she's like, so you're killing it as a high school music teacher, and then you also have a business,
Mm-hmm.
and you're seeing music, and you're still interacting with music in like a real way. You're like getting nitty gritty into it. And then you just released this course with Kat Reinhart. There's just so many things. I want to start with kind of like what classes do you teach at the high school level?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my position is a little bit weird because I teach. I should kind of back up. I've been at the same school for 15 years. So I've been there since I graduated college. And I was hired to kind of revitalize this course that was a core course. It was called Art, Music, and Culture. And it was basically like a music and art history course that was team taught. And so that's the bulk of what I do. We now call it collaboration and creativity, but it's me and an art teacher teaching together. Every kid in the school takes it. That's super fun. So we get to do lots of music making, art making, film, all sorts of things. And then I'm the orchestra director at my school, and I teach all of our guitar courses. And we have some electives that may or may not run, just depending on, who signs up. So we do have a production course, and then a rock band club, and some after school stuff too.
My goodness. I wish I wish that was like a national standard, is everyone needed a course like that to like what is the what's the word I'm trying to look for? What is the like overview of that course? Not the overview. What do you want kids to get out of that
What's
course?
the essential question?
The essential question.
I think so. I co-wrote the curriculum with my friend who's an art teacher, Stephanie Elfstrom. Shout out to her. And when we really sat down and thought, like, what do we want kids to walk away with? It really, what we see a lot, I don't know if you can relate to this, but kids come to high school and they're kind of pigeonholed into what they're good at and what they're not good at. And so you have these kids who are super creative because everyone has potential for creativity, or they're super musical or artistic, but there's no space for them in the school, or they feel like the school can't serve that part of them. So overall, we want kids to walk out with a sense of that they are creative and to really identify where their creative strengths lie. So that creativity piece is huge. And then the collaboration piece is also really big. We want them to figure out how to be a good collaborator because that's just an important life skill, no matter what they do in life. So yeah, those two things are the most important thing for us.
Oh, that's so cool. It kind of just segues into the next one. So what's the most important non-musical thing you want your students to learn and understand?
Oh, these are such good questions. Yeah, I feel like this keeps changing during the pandemic. I'm wondering how this feels for you, but I feel like I've become much more of a counselor than anything else. I don't know, just with virtual teaching and trying to connect with students, so much more of my class is like daily affirmations and talking about what we've been going through and that sort of thing. So I think the most important thing I want kids to walk away with is just knowing their voice and knowing how to advocate for it, and really finding who they are. And it seems cliche, but feeling special. I think a lot of education is one size fits all. And so kids either feel unsuccessful or successful. And we have this unique ability as arts educators to find like the special part of every kid. And so, yeah, I think if they leave my classroom with a sense that they have something to contribute to the class and to society, and they feel proud of that thing, then I feel like it's a win.
I'm sure your district needs to know how much impact that class has on your students, because yeah, from what I'm seeing in my classes, it's something as simple as us not being able to see each other's faces and having that year and a half in isolation. Like there's some serious stuff that's been done. I don't want to say like things that are happening post-pandemic, because we're not post-pandemic right now, but in this weird limbo time, I think you hit it on the head. Everyone needs to be able to, understand and express their feelings and know that they have a way to get things out creatively and know that they are special. Yeah. So what's the most important musical thing you want your students to learn and understand?
Um, I would call it musical autonomy. I mean, if you boiled it down, I think I saw this problem when I was starting to teach, which was I was a band director earlier on in my career. And, I remember a kid senior year packed up her clarinet and was like, well, I'm done playing music. Never going to take that out again. And I was like, man, does music making just end when senior year ends for these kids? And so for me, it became really important. Like, how do I develop their musical autonomy so that they can graduate and become adults and college students who continue to play music, who continue to collaborate with others, who have the tools to keep pursuing it. And things have changed now with YouTube tutorials and stuff like that. But it's really different for each class. So for my orchestra students, it might be teaching them to play more by ear and learning some other instruments in their toolkit, not just their string instrument. For my guitar students, it might be, teaching them skills to play in a band, to play with bass and drums. And so it really kind of depends on the class, but I want them to have that kind of creative autonomy that they don't need a teacher in front of them telling them what to play when they graduate.
Yeah, for sure. The whole having orchestra players just not be on the page all the time. That's the theory. As I am on the total opposite end of the spectrum. I'm like a guitar player. That's what I was in high school. So
I love that description.
You know exactly what I'm talking
Yes,
about. I'm that guy.
I'm afraid of them because they can outplay me in the guitar store.
Until you put music in front of us, they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's the total opposite end of the spectrum. Because we're all off the page. As soon as we go on the page, then we are as, if not more, uncomfortable than orchestra students when they're trying to, improvise or play by ear or, trying to do something, just anything off the page. How do you feel yourself in that continuum of like an on the page, off the page teacher, and then not teacher, but musician? And then how do you compensate for the other side?
Ooh, that's such a good question. And I'm actually glad that you asked this because I feel like now I've become this person who always talks about improvisation and songwriting and creating. And I think people assume that I was an off the page person my whole life, which I was in some ways, but I'm a very much on the page type person. I am a pianist primarily. I got through school by being a good sight reader. I was a great accompanist because I could sight read really well. And so I was creative in some aspects. Like I had some mentors growing up who encouraged me to write songs. That's how I got into songwriting. But I always felt uncomfortable when I was playing with, like a couple times when I played with gospel musicians who just improvise like crazy, or with others who were playing by ear and didn't need sheet music. I always felt very insecure about my needing that crutch. And so it's something that I definitely had to work through a lot in college. So in college, I'm like playing in a rock band in my basement with non-music majors who didn't read music, who are playing off the page. And then I'm, in a practice room learning Beethoven. So I feel like I had this kind of split personality. And when I got into teaching, my off the page self never entered in because I felt like, well, this is a formal education setting and I was taught formally and no one really did that with me in school. So I didn't have a prototype of what that could look like to bring that kind of learning into the classroom. And then when I went back to grad school and started seeing other people who were doing it, it was like mind blowing to me that, oh, we can have both. Like both of these can coexist and it's actually what we should be doing. And so it's taken me a while to get there.
So you actively saw that you weren't like that you were on the page, you were, reading the Beethoven, all the piano stuff, and then you saw this thing, you felt the discomfort. And then you instead of, going away from discomfort, you're like, all right, discomfort, what's up? My name's Sarah, and I'm here to overcome. How do you share that lesson with your students, or do you talk about that with your students?
Yeah, because I still do it. I still I'm not good at playing violin, and I will play violin for them. I'm not good at playing electric bass, and I'll play electric bass for them. So they still see me working out my musicianship on a daily basis. And I talk about it with them. I talk about things that I'm uncomfortable with, but that I'm trying. And and I do really encourage them if they're feeling apprehensive that it's normal. And I try to put supports in place where I'm never like, go try this crazy thing that's giving you, nightmares. I really do want them to feel supported, safe. And if you think of like, I know you've played in bands. I feel like we have kind of like a similar, maybe high school music story, but thinking about the bands I played in high school and college, all of the jamming that we did, it was a very slow process to comfort. The bandmates that I had that I grew really comfortable jamming with, it wasn't on day one. Like it took forming that relationship. And so when I think about my orchestra students jamming, I don't expect that day one, when they improvise and jam, they're going to be comfortable with us. Like that's something we're going to build over time. And so I feel like I'm pretty patient with that too.
It's so awesome that you show them like, hey, here's my electric bass playing, guys. Like I'm still working on it,
Yeah.
That's me with piano. So I'll be like, all right, I'm going to try to play only seventh chords without the root today. I can't play roots. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, that was just a bunch of weird sounds. So
I just had a student teacher and he's great at the violin. So good at the violin. Lord bless him, because we needed him. And I would sit in with the kids and just, kind of bop around to different places and play different instruments. And I think the cool thing is too, like the kids who come to me afraid to play in front of me because they say like, I'm not very good. A lot of freshmen say that to me. I'm like, I'm not good at the violin. Don't worry about it. I'm here to help you. We're on a journey. We're going to get better together. But, the one time he was conducting and I'm sitting there and he's like, Dr. Gulish, we're going to need to work on your bow arm after class. I was like, okay, I get it. But like just this idea that the kids know it's not like a secret that I'm bad at some instruments or that I'm on a journey. I don't try to hide it from them. They know that I'm more comfortable with some than others.
That's amazing. Dr. Gulish.
No.
I don't know how I'd take that.
I was like, okay, slow your roll.
Wow. So this has been this would be an awesome conversation with just a music educator, because you're saying some really insightful things for listeners. You're saying some insightful things for myself, but you're not just a music educator. You have a bunch of other hats. So what is F-Flat Books?
F-Flat Books is a digital publishing company that I started 2 years ago with my brother. Shout out to David. And it kind of started because I just wanted a space to exist that didn't exist. I wanted a fair pay publisher in music education. I wanted a space that could house digital resources. I had worked on publishing my first book a few years before that and just felt frustrated. It wasn't very flexible. The process was tedious. Academic royalties are terrible. I mean, terrible. So I just felt like this system is so broken. Is anyone else noticing this? And I would talk to other friends and colleagues, and everyone just sort of threw their hands in the air like, yep, that's how it is. So I just wanted to make a difference and do something, reimagine what it could be. So I launched it with a couple of friends who were also in a similar position as me. We just had a few books on the site, and really pretty quickly we saw that there was a need for this kind of space. There was a need for a hybrid publishing model in music education. And so now our focus is not only, publishing resources, but we do a lot of professional development. And then we do a lot of what we call like author empowerment, which is basically teaching people how to create and share content. And not, what we see with a lot of publishing companies is either you get accepted or you get rejected. There's no one who's saying, hey, your work isn't quite there yet, but let's help you figure out how to take it to the next level. And so that's who we want to be. We want to be for people, but we also want to be for the authors. So our authors get 70% royalties instead of 5%. And they have a lot of autonomy in what they do with their work. They own their creative content. And yeah, it's been really fun. And so it's a side hustle that is a lot of hustle right now.
You seem to be so good at having people feel like they're a team and like they're part of something. And then you also have like an amazing like way that you delegate. Like your podcast is, you know, you have other teachers helping you out there. Does your brother a music teacher too?
He's not, no. So my brother, he's kind of done a billion different things. He's very smart person. He plays some music, but he did a lot of like web development and e-commerce work with other people. He actually lives overseas in France. And so when I talked about this idea, I was talking about this publishing idea. He just said to me, I could build this for you. Like, I know how to do that. Why don't you let me do it with you? So it just was a little bit random and it's been great.
Oh my gosh. Everyone needs Sarah's brother.
I know. David.
Jeez. Shout out to David. This is the thing I started today in class. It was like someone did something good. And then I was like, all right, throw him some heat. And then everybody would like warm up their hands and then throw him the heat. So let's throw David some heat. Give him some heat. There we go. Okay, threw him some heat.
Love it. I'm taking that. I'm going to do it tomorrow.
It's yours. It's royalty free. Throw him the heat.
I love it.
So I'm trying to think about where I was.
We're talking about delegation. I actually want to, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely. Ask me a question.
Because I know we both played in bands. I really think that playing in a band is kind of like owning a small business in some ways. You know, like everything I learned about marketing and branding and hustling and doing things that you might not be ready to do and putting yourself out there, getting feedback, having conversations with people that you don't know, like all of that is stuff that I did in the context of a band. And so, you know, that collaboration element, making people feel like they're part of something, the person who's running your merch and the person who's driving the van and like all of those people, you want them to feel like they're in the band, even if they're not on stage. And I feel like there's kind of this through line with everything I do that kind of comes from that band mentality.
Yeah, I was just the diva in the band. No, I'm just kidding.
People carried your gear. Okay.
Yeah. You're part of the family. Yeah. I carry my half stack to this tiny coffee shop. Now I know what I wanted to ask. So what made you go from because I know there are a lot of people that have ideas like you had. Like I want to make this. There's this thing that doesn't exist, and someone should make it exist. What made you go from like idea to let's do it? Because I know there are a lot of people out there that have those ideas. They might be amazing ideas, but how do you go from like the seed to a sapling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a good question. It's something I've been thinking about a lot. Someone asked me something similar recently, and I don't want to say that I'm not afraid of failure because I certainly am. Like, I'm afraid of looking dumb in front of people. I'm afraid of what people think of me. I'm afraid of people respecting me or taking me seriously. But I do think that I have been able to, in many situations, overcome the fear of failure for the potential of what if, you know, because there's that question, like, what if it doesn't work or what if it has all these issues? But there's also the question of what if it's amazing? And I tend to be someone who likes really toying with that idea. And so I think it tends to push me over the edge when I'm considering something that seems to have a lot of barriers or elements that would make it challenging. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's embedded in me from childhood or something, but I do think you have to be okay with failing when you have that idea and you want to try it. And I think that's the hardest part for people is just recognizing that it might not work or it will never be what you think it will be. So F-Flat Books today is not what I thought it would be in 2019. It's way better than I could have imagined, but very different. And so being open to launching an idea and being okay with it taking different directions is really important.
I think that's something that should be on a banner above every music classroom. Maybe we can print it out on like a dot matrix printer, and we can like tear off little circles. It's what if it's amazing? You know, like we always think about like, oh my God, if I do this, it's gonna, like, if I play violin in front of this person, they might go like, Dr. Gulish, you need to work on. But
Yeah.
you know, what if I go to play it, you know, like what if it's amazing? But there's that editorial voice that happens a lot with our students and with, you know, anybody, whatever age you are, whatever stage you are in your career. That editorial voice sometimes can be such a nag. And then, but what if it's amazing? That's
and also, what's the core of why you're doing it? You know, there's so many things that I think about doing, and then when I boil it down, I'm like, the only reason I want to do this is to build myself up, if I'm being really honest, like because I want to look cool or special, or, you know, have people think I'm awesome. But there's a lot of ideas that aren't that are really to help other people. And so with F-Flat Books, you know, the mission was always purpose driven to help others. And that really fueled me. And so even if I look dumb or if I fail, but other people are benefiting from the platform, then it's so clear to me, like, okay, this is a win because this was my mission. And so I think that's a good thing too, to nail down with any idea, is just, why do you want to do this? Like, what is the heart behind it? Not that you can't do things to try and look cool, but I think, you know, for me, like you said, I love community. I love being a part of a team. So if I'm building a team and then we're kind of all in it together, then that really motivates me and it fuels me.
Yeah. So I want you to estimate, because it took me longer than it should. Like when you look at F-Flat Books, the time it takes when you look at the title and then you figure out the title. What do you think the average wait time is for a person in the know? Because for me, it was like, I looked at it and then I was like, oh, but immediately I was mad at myself for how long it took me to figure it out. I think the sound that a lot of people make when they see F-Flat Books is they're like, like the is the, like, it took me that long to figure it out.
Okay, more heat to David, because he came up with the name.
Give it up to David.
The heat's going to France. David was like, he loves puns to the point where like he would post puns on our social media all the time, and I'd be like, stop with the puns. So he knows enough about music to know that F-Flat Books is a pun, and he came up with the name, and I was like, absolutely not. Too nerdy, too dorky. Nope. And he's like, that's exactly what we need. We need to be, you know, like honed in on this one group of people. The people who get it will get it. It'll be great. And it was a great decision. So shout out to David. He knew what he was talking about. But yeah, we'll have authors who a year later, after publishing their book, will send me a text and they'll be like, oh my gosh, Sarah, I just realized what F-Flat Books means. It's amazing.
So I shouldn't feel bad about my time.
No.
It wasn't a year. It was longer than it felt like at least 2 years to me.
Yeah, so you're under average.
I'm under average?
Well, you're above average person, but you're under the average of how long it takes.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you. That's how I'm going to take worth of myself from now on. Yeah. How quick I can figure out puns. Yeah. So you're an amazing teacher. You're putting all this effort into your students at your school. You're also a mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And traveling music listener, music business entrepreneur, owner thing. You're writing this curriculum that I want to talk in a little bit. How do you balance that all?
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like whenever I get this question, I like to point out that there is no way to do it. Like, let's just put that out there. So I think anytime you choose to do something, you're choosing to not do something else, right? And so for me, you know, I've had people in my life who have said like, you're always writing or you're always working, but doing F-flat books, writing music, all of those things, like those are really life-giving for me. So at the end of the day, if I'm working on, creating a resource or connecting with an author or doing a podcast with Bob, that doesn't feel like additional work or burden to me. So that's one thing. I'm also just super, super scheduled. All of my time is so scheduled to the point where like the time when I come home from work till my kids go to bed, I'm with them. Like that's my time with them. I'm not going to schedule stuff for F-flat books or for schoolwork. And I also just try to take advantage of the margins we have as teachers. So a lot of our work with F-flat is over the summer when I'm not teaching full time. And then during the school year, we're kind of dialing it back. And it's a constant dance. I had someone tell me, Rollo Dilworth, who used to be my mentor at Temple, just every 6 months that he would kind of take stock of the next 6 months of his life and rebalance it. Did he want to do more speaking and traveling, or did he want to do more music creation or more teaching? And so I think that's kind of where I've been, where I'm trying to be more intentional about how I balance my time. But, it's still crazy.
Yeah, that life-giving piece.
Mm.
You hit it on the head. Like people be like, "Oh, you just work too much."
Mm-hmm.
But and then what's your hobby? It's like, well, I really like making resources and little cute animations so that my students and other people can understand this topic. It's like
we have dorky hobbies.
Thing.
That's the problem. Our hobbies are dorky.
Super dorky hobbies.
Yeah.
And you also have this thing that I want to hit on, this songwriting for music educators, with Kat Reinhart. Am I saying your name correctly? I would hate to.
Reinhart.
Reinhart?
Yeah, Reinhart.
No H.
Reinhart.
Okay. So you have this thing with Kat. I met you for the first time at a hybrid APME conference, and I met the whole APME crew, and I got to meet Kat for the first time, and it like opened my mind up to like, oh, this is where my people are at. This is so interesting.
Yeah.
Now I know where everyone is. But that whole like, I think as music educators, we're so wrapped up in our ego. We have batons. We don't want to suck at violin and electric bass in front of our students. We want to show them that we're it. But some of that is the vulnerability of songwriting. Is so, it's such a boundary. Can you tell me about this course? Kind of like what was the impetus for it, and then just maybe a little sampling of like, what's in it.
A song sampling. You want me to sing you a song?
You can sing. Go ahead. You can sing me a song.
I will sing my answer in a
for a treat.
I do have a violin somewhere, so watch out. Great question. Okay, so I've been songwriting since I was a kid. Most of my songwriting was in the context of my band, and Kat and I connected during the pandemic. I had known her in some different ways through APME, like you mentioned. We connected in the pandemic because I thought, I'm going to take voice lessons. Why don't I work on my voice and becoming a better singer? So I was taking voice lessons from Kat, and we both happened to be teaching songwriting courses at the time. I was teaching one at Temple University as an adjunct in their graduate program. Kat teaches at Rider University, and she was also offering one just over Zoom to music educators. And we kind of saw the same things with our students, which is with a lot of music educators, we get this far in our schooling or our career, we've never really done any songwriting before. We want to do it with our students, but it's super scary because we haven't done it. It's our, electric bass or our violin. And I think you hit it on the head, which is looking silly in songwriting feels more vulnerable than something else because you tend to be sharing you, right? You tend to be putting yourself in a song. Not always, but there is some aspect of you that gets embedded in everything you write. And so at first we just thought like, let's write a book. Let's take everything we've learned. Let's take our curriculum. Let's write a book. And so we wrote a book that we published on F-flat Books, and we got such great feedback and people wanting more interactivity with the exercises that we did. So we thought, let's do a course. So I actually quit all of my adjuncting jobs this past summer and just focused on creating this course so that, anyone anywhere could take it, not just the students at Temple or Buffalo where I was teaching. And it's been really cool because we have been able to connect with educators all over the place. And we do start, like you said, with this sense of self and who we are and why we have fears and hesitations towards being creative. And then we kind of guide the educators through this dual process. It's like you're working on your own creativity, you're working on your own songwriting, but you're also thinking constantly about how does this apply to the classroom? Yeah. Ooh, this is our course.
Yeah. Sorry. I was scrolling for the people. I was giving some like weird B-roll. I'm trying too hard. I'm sorry.
I love it. It's so good. Yeah. So that's kind of the gist of it. And it's like all of our dorky hobbies keep having babies and more dorky hobbies that keep having more babies. So really fun for me because I feel like with F flat, like my role has kind of been curating other people's work, but the songwriting and, original music is where my passion really lies. So.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. This is me here. This is me looking at it. I'm looking at it right now. You should look at it too. The URL is, I'll put myself away there. URL is songwritingforme.com.
Yes. Songwriting for me.
Yeah.
And, one of the cool things has been, so we've had a couple of people who've moved through the course now. One of the cool things has been hearing feedback where a teacher will say, yeah, I was working through this exercise myself, and the very next day I did it with my kids. And that's kind of what we were envisioning. Because I do think a lot of professional development is just all about the kids. It's all about what we can serve our students, but it's not really about developing the teacher's musicianship. And I know that you also do professional development that is meant to serve the teacher and their musicianship, which I think is really cool.
Thank you. I just got a low battery warning. Give me one second. You can keep talking while
you sound far away. Bob sounds very distant right now.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I should also say that when I first started teaching, I wasn't like guns blazing, I'm going to do songwriting with all of my students. I had kids who came to me who already wrote songs, who wanted guidance and that sort of thing. But it wasn't until, a few years into teaching that I realized, wow, this is something that all of my students can benefit from. And so it's now embedded in all of my classes. But I say this so that if there's anyone listening who just thinks like that feels super overwhelming to think about having students create original music, I've been there. And that's part of why we created all of these resources. And we have a ton of free resources too on the website. Some like free workshops that you can watch on demand and that type of thing too.
So is there a synchronous, I hate saying that word. Well, I just got like full body convulsion from saying
PTSD.
Okay. So is there a synchronous component to this? Like some sort of community where people can bounce ideas back and between each other?
There is, but I do have to say, as an aside, you make me think that in years from now, we're going to be like, do you remember the first time you heard the term social distancing? And do you remember the first time you heard the word asynchronous? Just all of these terms that have, become embedded in our lives. Yes, there is a synchronous component. So we have like a, Facebook community that is built up of people taking the course, but then we have a couple different levels, and the second and third level of the course, you get to have a monthly Zoom where we basically are workshopping ideas. We're supporting teachers with their lesson planning and that type of thing.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still looking here. I'm looking at what's included. I'm going down here. What's included?
Love it.
Facebook group.
Your tech is so fancy. I want to give you some heat.
I'm getting heat. I feel it. I'm getting more. Actually, the tech room gets a little warm in here. So if you could if we could somehow take the heat out of this room and then put it, I don't know, anywhere. You
want us to suck your heat.
Suck the heat, please. I need like some endothermic, exothermic. I forget which one it is. So yeah, like are you going to do more than one level? It's beautifully done. Like the website's beautifully done. The video that you put out's beautifully done.
That means a lot coming from Bob.
Aw, thank you. There's so much heat in here now.
Bob is a A tech guru.
I'm trying. Well, I don't have a David. I need to find a David.
You need a David. Every Bob needs a David.
That's a children's book. So do you see this going out to students at all? Or is that something that F flat would be interested in the future? Like having some component of this this course to like be used in the classroom and then have students sign up for accounts?
That's a great question. I think Kat and I are talking about, there's so many different possibilities that we can do. And, she and I both work a million jobs. So it kind of just depends on what feedback we get from this first cohort. And we're really going to listen to our audience and see what they're looking for. But we do have plans to offer more things in the future. And I think that's a great idea. A lot of what we do offer our teachers or people who take the course is tools that they can take to the classroom, take to their students. So we have it embedded in that work, but we're not speaking directly to students. So I could imagine that something like that would be really cool.
Yeah, I would be really interested in checking this out. And you're doing so subscribe to who should on the social medias, who should we subscribe to if we want to like get information about this? Is there like a newsletter? Oh, there's a button that says newsletter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah,
we're on
Boy.
TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on all the things. Like this endeavor brought me to TikTok, which is a dark world that I am dipping my toes into. But yeah, I can share it with you too if you want to add in all the links.
For sure.
Yeah.
How many devious licks did you have at your school? Did you get any devious licks from the TikTok thing?
Oh my gosh, yes. I don't know the number though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like things if you didn't know.
That was wild. This year feels like 20 years because that feels like 20 years ago, but it was just, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's the mimetic evolution. We're seeing like before like songs. We're doing songs in my modern music ensemble that were popular a month ago, and the kids are like, Mr. Habersatt, no one listens to this song anymore. This is vintage now. And
Right.
It's like whoa, okay. So everything just moves so fast.
Yes.
Can't keep up. So. I mean, tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Do you have any like Wednesday tips, just like a teaching tip, something like a motivational thing, something that maybe you're working through or something that you have people work through with the songwriting course, just like one thing to wrap up this portion of the podcast that you want people to like get out of listening or watching? I think we've had 5 people at one time, which is pretty cool.
Woo.
25 people all together. So
Hey, people.
for those 5, what like single tip?
Okay. I'm going to give you a tip that I stole from Julia Campbell, who wrote The Artist's Way. Julia Cameron. I'm sorry, Cameron. She wrote The Artist's Way. Have you heard of The Artist's Way?
I have not heard of The Artist's Way.
Okay. If I have it, I don't have it close by. Amazing book. It's basically a 6-week course on unlocking your creativity. And she created it for writers that she was working with in New York. And then it kind of applies to anybody. But one of the practices you start doing when you're moving through this program is you do what she calls morning pages, which is just like a morning journaling brain dump. And you just write for 3 pages. Anything that's on your mind, you get it out there. And when I did it as a student, I noticed how much it helped me just get rid of all. I think as teachers, we wake up and our brains are spinning already, right? What are we going to teach in this class? Oh, we have that email from that parent from last night that I have to get to when I get there. And my kids were crying in the middle of the night. Like as a parent, there's a million things going on. And so if I can schedule in 10 minutes to just brain dump on a page, it changes my entire day. And I do think it helps me be more creative because all of those things that are going on inside that might be blocking me, I've gotten them out. And so I encourage my students to do that if we're doing a creative activity, but I also try to do it on a daily basis. So my advice for you tomorrow morning is wake up 10 minutes earlier, do a 10-minute brain dump on a page and see what changes.
It's a pensieve. That's what you're doing. It's the pensieve.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing. Sometimes I have like unwanted brain dumps. Like last night, there was someone had a nightmare. There were multiple.
We had 2 nightmares last night.
2.
My son, the 7-year-old, and my 3-year-old.
We had one nightmare and then I don't know what. But
you had a nightmare.
What?
You had a nightmare.
Yeah. But I had some pensieving onto my phone. It was like, oh God, I have all these things to do and I have to write them down. But if you schedule it, like I'm gonna do it in the morning. I'm gonna write 3 pages, and then it's
cup of
practice.
coffee.
Routine. Instead of like I'm gonna watch some dumb YouTube videos on cars. That's me. This is me. That's what I do. That's okay. So tomorrow morning, I'm gonna wake up. And I'm gonna do this thing. And I invite all of you to do that too. That's gonna be my new thing. I'm gonna pensieve. So now we're gonna try something absolutely insane.
Ooh, yes.
Haven't done this before with this platform. We're gonna hop on a Soundtrap file together. I've invited you, so
did you invite me?
I've invited you. I think I've invited you. Collaborator. So if you're on, waiting for Sarah Gulish to accept the invite. So Soundtrap is a cloud-based DAW, and one of the coolest things that you can do, just like with a cloud-based document program like Google Docs or something, is you can collaborate in kind of real time. Hey, speaking of real time,
I'm here.
She's here now. And you can collaborate, and unlike Google Docs, you can't collaborate in real time together, because if you think about it, like if you're recording on the same track with someone, how is the program going to know? So I lived in this interesting apartment when before we had kids. My wife and I lived in this apartment. Everybody in the apartment was like a creative. It was so weird. There was like a graphic designer. There was like people that worked at a museum. There was a jazz piano player. There was a cellist. We'd all hang out. And this jazz piano player, he was brilliant. His name was Kyle. We'd play this game, and he had GarageBand. And the part of the game was you could only use a typing keyboard. We're not going to play that. That's a silly part of the game. But the game was you would record a thing, and then you would just go back and forth. Like Kyle would take a turn, then I would take a turn. Then Kyle would take a turn, then I'd take a turn. So we're gonna do this. Like
you have a crying child.
You have a crying child?
Yeah, that's what's happening right now. So.
Oh, it's okay.
It'll be fine.
Let's throw calming heat. Child.
Calming heat towards my 3-year-old.
Throw a calming heat.
And my husband, who has to deal with the 3-year-old.
Maybe the drumming skills will have something to do to help. I don't know. Is he still?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The drumming helps.
Okay. So we're on the same one. And I don't know who wants to go first. So do you have? I know that you have. Is that which keyboard controller is that?
I have an Impulse, Novation Impulse.
I thought you were I thought you were just talking about like I have an impulse. Let's
I have an impulse to play something. Yeah, but it's he doesn't seem to be working right now. So I might just be using the instruments on Soundtrap, which will be fun.
Oh no. I'm sorry, Novation.
I know Novation does not like me today. Or it doesn't like the input that I'm using. But that's okay.
Are you talking about just like are you using its own sounds, or are you using it as a MIDI controller?
I mean, I have I was going to use it as a MIDI controller. I have a lot of dongles happening.
You don't. I should take a picture. And so I talked about it before, called the octopus. You don't even want to know.
I want to see what's happening.
No one wants to see what's happening over here. It is.
So
it's right here. It's right out of frame. You see where these cables connect? It goes into just like
So it looks so clean and organized the way you have it set up.
This is
So
my
you're
life. This is how you are an actual organized person. You said I'm big into scheduling. I
mm,
can frame my life so that it looks like it's clean and organized, but out of frame, it is just.
it's just a mess.
I have like just the random stuff. Here's a wrench to my bike seat that I lost, but now I found, but it's next to my thing. Here's a banana. That's my life right now. So are we good? I heard a sound.
I heard a sound too,
Is loop back
but
on?
oh yes, I can put that on. But either way,
Okay.
I am going to, I can use one of the controllers on Soundtrap. It's going to be good.
Okay. All right. So maybe, do you want to start?
Hmm.
I feel bad because you don't have a keyboard.
No, this will be
Um,
great. I can use the computer keyboard. This is,
okay.
as teachers, we just got to work with what we've got. So
If anything has taught us from
yeah,
last year, it's that you just
yeah.
gotta roll with it.
So let me do what tempo do we want?
Oh man,
Do we say slow jams
we should do a
for the
slow
babies?
jam. We should do a slow jam for sure.
So what are we thinking? Like 90, 80,
How about 98? No, that's really
90,
fit. How about 89? We'll flip it.
89. I don't
Sounds
know if
good.
I've ever made something at 89 before. All right, I'm going to do, let me do like keyboard sound, maybe something synthy. All right. And I'm going to add my loop back on because my friend Bob told me about this fancy trick that I can do. Here we go. Now I can hear myself. And let me just hear the tempo. Can you hear that?
I can hear it.
All right. So I am such a synth. Do you like washy synths?
I love me a Washington.
Let me find like
Ooh.
I kind of like that. What do we think? Ah, I lost it. So I'm gonna get, where did my washy synth go? Hold on, that's what I want. Yeah, something like that.
That sounds good. I like
All right,
this.
let me lay this down. Maybe loop that guy. What do you think?
I think that sounds good.
It's like not perfectly on, but I feel like we don't want it to be too tight.
No, no, no.
All right, is that my part? Now you're gonna add.
Yeah, I'll add some guitar to it. So if you press, ooh, I got my ding ding. Okay, I got the ding. I click on the thing, and I got the ding, and then I press on the sync, and magic, I got it over here. I don't know why. I gotta talk to the Soundtrap people. It automatically thinks that I want to loop everything. I don't want to loop everything. That okay. All right. So I am going to. I was playing that little guitar-y thing, so I'm
Mhm.
going to record the little guitar-y thing. Dot 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 question mark. Which one is my guitar-y thing? Is it 2 or 1? I think it's number 2. Is 2? 2? 2? Yeah.
Ooh, sounds good.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I'm just gonna mute this just for right now. I'm gonna hear it. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back and forth in between like a G and a G and a G and a something else. A G and an F. G and an F.
Yeah,
That's
it
it.
has like
All
a
right.
Mixolydian kind
Yeah,
of
it's got a little
feel to
Mixolydian
it.
thing in there. I am not using headphones. Never say you're using headphones, even if you're using headphones.
It's bad.
Okay. Here we go. All right. Added my thing.
Ooh.
Accidentally recorded a MIDI tracky dealy doo. And I'll sync.
All right. Refreshing it. I guess you can't see what I'm doing unless I share my screen, huh?
Cannot.
Do you want me to do that?
Can we? We
Yeah,
can. This
I
is
think
something we
so.
could do. It's never been done before, folks. But we're
I
doing it right now. Oh, it's so
think-
good. This looks so good.
Can you see it?
I
Okay.
can. I
Okay.
see you and the thing.
Look at that. This is amazing. Okay. I'm gonna start some like I either want to do like a crunchy, really gritty bass part or some super open percussion.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you?
I was hearing the open percussion. Why don't you crunchy bass?
I'll crunchy bass. I like fuzzy sounding. These are all the words I feel like as a music teacher, I don't use as much as I do if I'm playing music with people outside of, teaching, but like crunchy, fuzzy, all that stuff. I love heavily affected guitar sounds and bass sounds. What about you?
I love a germanium fuzz or germanium something. I like me a fuzz. I don't know if there's any good ones on Soundtrap.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with this guy for now. I might add some effects to it. Something that I like to do with bass lines is to loop, just kind of like loop, the main hook so I can see what different bass notes sound like under it. Let me get this one more. I think I know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to change kind of the harmonic structure that we started with. All right, here we go. I'm going to take this off. Can you hear my child?
A little bit.
Poor thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's a nightmare. So really quick, I'm gonna maybe mess with it and add some like fun effects to it. But for now, I'll save it so you can add the next part.
Okay, cool.
I'm good?
Yes. Ding.
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 And I will unshare.
Sync. Okay. I am just gonna make things a little metronomic for myself because my drumming's not that good to just like. Okay. I like the hanging on the 4 chord. Hanging on the 4 chord. We're hanging on the 4. We're hanging on the 4 chord. Don't worry, I'll change it back. But this is just for my drumming. Boom. So like when I hear something, then I'm like hearing the groove in my head. So I'll do the same thing. Keep the loop going. Whoa, hello. I can do this. Okay, there's that. And then what kind of drum sound? Maybe some soft blanket. We like the washed out. Let's add some reverb. Nah, that's the stupid sound. What is it? Muffled? Okay. Okay, I'll add something. I'll go for a little bit. This Rhodes the thing that's nothing there. When I add the bass in, what's wrong with me? Put the bass in there, bass in there.
Just made some edits a little bit to the tone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me.
Can you both edit at the same? You might have said this while I was.
Yes.
Can you both edit at the same time?
Kind of.
Okay.
I think we're editing at the same time. Somehow mine got displaced. That's interesting. I'll fix that. And then can you just do what I want you to do, Loop? Thank you. Go away. There you go.
All right, so I'm gonna add.
Well, I didn't.
Oh yeah, it did work. It added my effect.
Good. All right. All right. If you could, I'm gonna sync, but I'm gonna add the drums on top of this.
Mm-hmm.
So let me. I'm gonna dupe this, and then I will put this an octave down. I feel like I'm missing some
I love that.
low end stuff, and then maybe I'll get rid of the distortion on that octave down. Boop, and that. So it'll just give us a little more, little grunt. Okay, and then. Let me add that drums, and then we just need to do some vocals after this, maybe a pad or two, and then I think we got something beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get this a couple more times, and then loopity loops. Okay. All right, sometimes what I like to do is just do like a few takes and figure out what I don't like. And what I do not like that first one. 16th notes, kind of. This one's okay, it's a little in your face, but we can tone it down. right, so we'll take this, we'll cut it, we'll get rid of this, put this over here, we'll do this. Well, it's way too freaking loud. So we'll make things a little chiller, get all that attack. I'm just really excited because I'm jamming with Sarah Gulish right now.
I love this. Also, what's a little trick you just did where you changed the volume in the piano roll?
Oh, so if you go to V for velocity, and then you can adjust the velocities of all of the notes and then what happens is the timbre of each note changes, like here's this.
Yep. This is new. I'm learning new things. That is awesome.
Okay, cool. Sync.
Oh man, what are we gonna do next?
I don't know. Need something, some wordy words.
Some words. What recover and save? I'm always nervous when it says recover and save because I'm like, is it gonna delete something? No, it's good. Share my screen. What should we sing about? Maybe given heat. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Should we give me da, 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 da. So usually when I'm working on vocal melodies, it's a lot of nonsense and weird sounds, which I think I'm always like thinking on the teacher hat can be super nerve-wracking and embarrassing for students to just sing nonsense in front of other people. At this point, I'm pretty comfortable singing nonsense. So there might be a delay between my voice and this, but I'm going to just start singing over the loop. Some of the chords from the second, or some of the notes from the second chord we do. Some word ideas. Should this be about giving heat?
Oh, it has to be about giving heat. I mean, why could it have? Yes, giving heat.
Is this about giving heat? Is that what I'm feeling?
Yeah.
And every time I said it. Ooh, so this side is the monitor. This side isn't. That's helpful. So every time you do it, I'll give you heat.
Ooh.
Until you don't want, and no, we won't live through it. I give you heat. Something like that.
Perfect.
Okay. So should I mute myself on the Zoom when I record vocals? That's a question.
No, I think you should be good.
Okay.
Just don't have monitoring on. We'll find out.
We'll see what happens. All right. So I'm going to, and every time you do it, I'll give you heat. We'll both live through it. If I give you heat, I don't know what we're living through. A class? Maybe.
Yeah, we're living through the process.
Wednesday, hump day. Okay. I'm not using headphones. Okay.
Never.
Da-da. Let me do my vocal test. La da 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 da. Okay. I think we're good. And every time you do it, I'll give you heat. We'll both get.
And then the audio cut out on one side. So thank you, Sarah, for coming out in the podcast. I'm going to play the end, but as a consolation prize, I'm going to have my son say some words. These are his first recorded words. Here you go, Lee. Say something. All right, so here is I'll give you heat. Oh yeah, you did. We got to do. What is wrong with how many needs? It needs that. What? That's how it ends. Oh my gosh, how many me's can there be's right here? Oh, we all need to do this in time. We need to give heat the whole time. Oh man, when they go in, we'll do here. Okay, this is it. This is the final. Well, here we go. This is gonna be our outro. I'm gonna play it out. I should turn the metronome. Why is the metronome on? Okay, sorry. Too brash. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sarah Gulish, for coming on the podcast. It has been excellent. I am energized for tomorrow. I am hoping other people will be energized too. Thank you so much. Always.